So let's call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Should we wait for Melanie?
Roll call.
Just so you all are aware, I'm picking minutes.
All right, thank you so much.
Can't tell you how much that's my least favorite.
Now you find it so challenging to do it.
Very, very intimately how much I don't like them, but they are really necessary, and it's actually really great to have just a summary of what was going on, so you know. You know, maybe what video you need to watch or whatever. So,
Thank you.
but I have a new appreciation. Maybe I should wait until we get started.
Okay.
Okay. Molly Anthony,
Here,
Lisa Caltabiano,
here,
Dan Gertzfeld,
he may be joining us late.
Josh Peck,
Here.
and Shannon Strassman.
Here.
All right, thank you. Do we agree on the agenda?
Amend the agenda.
Oh my goodness, this is so. All 30 minutes. That's just about it. We're gonna have a couple of adjustments, but.
Yeah, could
Thank
we
you
amend?
so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Melody.
And
And Julia.
Julia.
Julio, okay. Julio's,
Julio.
Interning.
Yeah, Leo.
Julio.
I call Julia. So.
We just wanna change his name, we haven't met him yet.
Um,
All right, so, can we agree to the agenda?
there's on the end, there's Counselor Angeline included minutes from February. I don't have them in my packet. What were the 2 minutes? They're on the end of the packet.
Are they the meetings that were
Yeah.
canceled?
Yeah.
Okay, that's January 16th and April 1st.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we'll have to amend that to show both of those dates.
I'm sorry, so we didn't have minutes from July 2023?
No, that's not the case. Some things were not. It's kind of a transitional time. And so, we had the minutes, but we did not have them approved by the commission, so.
Oh, okay. No, it's not that. All right, good.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to include January 16, 2024 and April 1st, 2024 meeting minutes to the agenda.
Second. All right, so, all in favor? Aye.
So the agenda is approved with that one edit. Okay, thank you. So review and approval of past meeting minutes. Maybe let's take a few minutes to do that since they're new. A couple of them are new, we don't have them in the email. And Josh, you are allowed to vote on this, if you're comfortable doing so.
I mean, I don't-
Were there any changes to the agenda?
No, beyond, the amendments to January 16th and April 1st.
Oh, okay.
Did you have something you wanted to add on?
No, I just, I'm doing minutes, so every once in a while, I'll ask a question.
Follow up, yeah.
Yeah.
The December minutes, I don't see it mentioned that Liz Knopf is actually here to speak to us and offer herself up for candidacy.
With it. Would you like? to include that in the motion. It's cleared up,
Okay.
first meeting. That's all.
Are you talking about her being appointed or?
Her actually coming to speak before us and present herself as a candidate for the vacancy. Because we had two applicants that day, Liz was the one that was able to appear before us.
Yeah.
And it was really well handled with, Josh's. Coming before us in July, so if we could do something similar to the way that was worded in the July meeting.
Oh, I got you. Well,
Because it says that we went into a closed session, but there should have been something before that when she spoke, just, a quick sentence explaining that there's a vacancy and she was the one candidate who appeared before us.
okay. I'd like to make a motion that we agree to the December 4th, 2023 minutes, except for to add a section that recognizes Liz Knott's introduction for the planning commission vacancy for that date. So
Would you like to include the other minutes on the agenda?
I would, but I kind of wanted to get that one out of the way while it's in my head, but if you want me to do them all, I'm glad to do that. What do you think, Lisa? You ready to vote? Okay. Feeling good about it?
All right, well, so do you want to amend your adding that?
I'm gonna add some stuff right now. Okay, so, so I have, put forth the motion, I'm going to continue on the backside of the motion, so that's, December 4th, regular meeting. I'd like to add in July 3rd, 2023, regular meeting, August 7th, 2023, regular meeting. November 6th, regular meeting, December 4th, we've got June 3rd, 2024, regular meeting, and July 1st, 2024, regular meeting. And this will catch us up to date on
Would you like to include
April. April 1st, 2024 will be added to this motion as well as January 16th, 2024. As those last two dates were canceled meetings, and so there are minutes just to make note. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank
Good
you.
God. It's
That was a
done.
mouthful.
I mean, am I alive enough to do this?
All right, thank you so much for everyone who helped get this done, thank you again. All right, report on relevant actions by town council. Let's go ahead and hold off on this and maybe Dan will come in.
Sure.
So matters from the public,
there's no one online.
okay? New business, welcome, Joshua Peck.
Glad to be here. Thank you guys. Glad to be back.
Thank you for being with us. Yeah. Better for me, because I haven't spent a lot of time talking to you, so.
Well,
There.
anytime, you can call me day or night.
Okay, awesome, but I won't. We'll just stay. Yeah, it'll work, yeah.
Is Lincoln online by any chance?
LinkedIn is, said he would be online part-time, 7:30.
Okay,
Expected there to be,
is he still international?
yeah.
Wow.
In Southeast Asia, it's 3 AM right there.
Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh.
So.
He is dedicated. Well, why is he coming? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I'm talking, but.
I talked to him today and, yeah.
I guess it's still young.
All right, so then I guess let's proceed to the annual meeting. I kind of wanted, Dan was coming in to meet with him, but we have nothing else to do, so let's go ahead and move to that.
What are we moving to?
The annual meeting, election of the chair and vice chair. And I have thought about it, and if no one else is interested in the chair position, I'm happy to continue for another year.
I make a motion to appoint Lisa to the position of chair.
Second. All in favor?
All in
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you so much. Vice chair?
I think I can continue on unless somebody would like it.
You want to make the motion this time? You want me to make it?
I
Thank you.
do, I'm exhausted.
Oh, I thought you were meaning like you did want to make the motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Be a little more clear, Josh, I'm completely worn out. I'm not gonna be able to make a motion. Thank you.
I've moved for Shannon, or I make a motion to nominate Shannon as the vice chair.
I second that. All in favor?
Can you second that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm allowed to vote, so.
Oh, that's right.
So I can.
Can I
make motions?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can make motions. It's like,
Oh.
Has that always been the case and we just
Yeah.
were under the assumption?
yes, so at a certain point in time, Natalie questioned whether, like,
Yeah.
why? Because she wasn't seeing anything to back that up, so, she or they, whoever took it to council, Mr. Bowling, who said, no, there's no reason why a chair can't vote. So
Yeah, I
I think
think
we
we
doing,
talked about it really briefly last.
yes,
Meeting, and
Going back, it's always been like that, so I didn't assume, I assumed it, I guess the right way to say is clear, so.
we all
I
did.
think it's a good catch.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's because of how maybe town council operated, the mayor not. For the head of.
may I interject something really quick? I wanted to take a minute to let you all know what my experience was like working with the town office. It's been a really great and fun experience. We seem to work well together, and that was great. But I also wanted to say that it was eye-opening to see the offices quite bustly and very distracted and things of that nature. I've encouraged these guys to let us know exactly what they do. And, you know, see it from that perspective, but, I don't think that it's a false claim that they need assistance. And so, while I'm able to, I will volunteer and do, you know, whatever Melody needs or what is your name? Hobby needs,
Hobby
Javier needs. You know, just to keep things rolling, or I could just be a cheerleader or get some water for everybody, I don't know. But so far I've been pretty busy and it's been fun. But my next project that I'm gonna dive into is, the website, so I did the minutes first, and it was a lot of work just because there were so many of them, and we were looking at the big picture and then we narrowed in and it had all been done. It just was so many things, like to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. So we got organized and all that. So anyway, I wanted you all to know how much I love working with these guys and how hard that was in there to get everything done for us. So just keep it in mind, and I'll update you if I see if she's sleeping out on the job or something. I will check them to make sure that you're ready for that. But for now, she's got some rock and roll going on there, and that's good. So,
Might be nice for town council to do a little internship working with you guys, so they
I'm
can see
serious.
you.
I would thought about it.
Oh my God. Just have them do 1 set of minutes, and then they'll just be like, all right, girl, whatever you need.
I wanna,
They are really fun.
I wanna thank you, and I put it in the minutes just so it's a record, but I want to thank Molly and Julio, because the last few weeks they have helped us out a whole bunch. That's up being about like 30 hours of volunteer time between both of them, be calculated. And you can kind of see it helps to catch up and start doing things that we haven't, like we Wednesday to do the website, which feels like something that fell on the back burner.
Yeah.
And then I have started taking some of your advice, that I'll show you some Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Some I've been cataloging, at least for myself.
I can't help myself. I'm always making like suggestions about ways to do things, but they're gracious to put up with me. But yeah, I think I think that it wasn't just like doing that, it was, you know, sifting through and making sure that we had everything on the website, and just, you know, it was mostly done now, and I was just like, she had an extra set of eyes, it would have been fun. So it's good for
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah, it's a huge relief to be caught up, it's just less snowball on you.
yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you letting me talk about it.
We appreciate you for helping.
Yeah, like seriously, Lincoln's online.
Oh, awesome. Let's switch to that old business comprehensive plan, Lincoln Lewis.
Hey, Lincoln, could one of these speak into mine?
Hey, Lincoln, can you hear us?
Hey,
Lincoln, you're muted.
Lincoln.
Yes, hello, can you hear me now?
Oh, we maybe we could eat our volume.
You didn't think pajamas were appropriate.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, t-shirt.
Okay,
You don't have a tie on, do you, at 3 in the morning?
oh, it's 7:22 in the morning. Yeah, yeah. No, I went to bed for a while and just woke up. So yeah, glad to join you today. I'm just going to be presenting what I believe is on your dais there. Basically a first write-up for the community engagement event for retaining character. So you have that in front of you. This is meant to really be the template for all 8 of our events. If this is suitable write-up, then I'll quickly copy this format and then duplicate it for the other events. Javier has also agreed to chime in based on the notes I took and based on our scribes panels. Yeah. So this event was the first one, and we really wanted to focus on how to bring out the qualities of Scottsville and also describe its uniqueness. So I structured it in a very specific way. I hope this is okay. I'm really glad for your feedback. The first paragraph really positions the title of our workshop. So each one of our workshops had a specific title, and this title was used as a prompt. And then the subsequent paragraphs really dive into different ideas. So for instance, the second paragraph really kind of tries to delve into this idea of character and what are the different types of character. We have natural character, small town character, moral character, and rural character that were mentioned. Then moving on, we talked about assets in the next paragraph. And then later on, we talked about negative aspects, or things that could potentially bring about the loss of character for the town. For instance, we talked about housing as a major concern, the maintenance of buildings, so on and so forth. Then we talked a little bit about change. I thought this was a really interesting phrase someone mentioned. It was mentioned to be change is a nebulous word. And someone talked about tension between the status quo and promoting development in the future. And then the idea of balancing between the past and the status quo and the future was mentioned. I thought that was really interesting. And then we talked about different strategies that could be brought about to really, retain this character. I think someone talked about, better connection to the river. Another person talked about this East Main Street idea, and this also phrased as Eastern Corridor. So that's the last paragraph. So this is just a typical structure. I think it could work well for all of our events. Sorry again, I didn't have time to do more work from last month. Really apologize. Yeah.
Lincoln, I have a question.
Sure.
Was this a meeting that you had here in town?
It was, yes.
Okay, I think I was supposed to be there, and I do apologize for not being there. I wanted to know whether you would be covering or discussing what they found were the aspects of town that they want to keep and not see go away.
Well, that's sort of under assets, I guess. I could explain that a little bit different in the text. You also bring up a great point, Molly, about do we name people that attended the event? So I kind of shied away from doing that. It's better to keep this anonymous. And we have pictures of the note board. I think, Molly, you were the scribe once or twice for other events, right? I think, Lisa, you were too. So yeah, I think it's best to keep them anonymous, but record the number of people who were there and the number of town councilors and the mayor if he was there, so on and so forth. I think that's a good form to note the elected officials also. Yeah. But back to your point, Molly, I'll maybe I'll mention more about how these assets are really what people want to keep. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there's this fear that the character's gonna go away, but I'm concerned that we're just gonna be like, oh, this will be great right here and knock it right down. I don't know what it is that people are holding on to, I assume, a sleepier, small town feel. And I just didn't know if there was anything in particular that people expressed about the town and what they wanted to keep. I can tell you that I have mixed feelings about, what happened with Lumpkins and everything like that. It was such a center for community and, did a lot for the people. I don't know what it means now. It's vacant and nothing's gonna happen with the property, so, I just feel like this is a great segue into something I wanted to ask you about too, and to ask, you commissioners, you fellow commissioners, I really feel like we need to get a handle on the commercial zoning and really, and I don't know whether it falls under, the zoning or the ordinances or whatever, but I think it's important that we start looking at these properties here in the commercial district and, start maybe finding people for not having, for having an empty storefront. And not having something in the front to kind of give back to what people are seeing as they go through town. I'm all for people just doing their thing, but I really feel like we should get a handle on that. So my question to you is, how do we propose that? Is that something that we could incorporate into the comp plan to advise town council that that's something that we've been talking about? Or is it more of something that we could tackle when we're redoing zonings and things of that nature? I'm so sorry to say that I don't know how to go about that. But we talked about this when the social club was inquiring about their space and whether they needed an SUP and all that kind of stuff. And it started me thinking about the fact that that is a great thing, but I'm just not sure that that property was the right place to put something that's going to be out of view, leaving the storefront, empty and barren and looking empty. The only way we're going to revitalize East Main is to show some activity there. And I know a lot of it's empty, but I think it's really important that we start, encouraging people to rent out their spaces or to make it affordable for businesses. I understand that people are just sitting on their properties. I think that we need to be able to talk about making a change to that. And so I just wanted that noted.
We've been talking about that for years.
Yeah,
And I had been asking, like, what are our options? Can we incentivize some of these people to fill their storefronts? Or,
I'm gonna,
do we need carrots? Do we need sticks? Like, what are our legal options?
yeah, what kind of incentives?
Right.
I don't want to always be the parent with punishments.
Be the stick person.
Yeah, I'll be glad to be the stick person. Josh, I mean, you and Sharon to work on that.
That's right.
So, but anyway, I'm sorry to throw this at you at 7 in the morning, across the ocean. Several oceans.
Yeah.
I just wanted that to be said. We talked a little bit about it in an impromptu, gathering that was not more than 2 of us.
Not to stifle commissioners' conversation, but would making that an agenda item for next month? and then
Yes,
Maybe pulling back some ideas on that.
okay,
My gut reaction is maybe having a discussion and seeing how that can be included in language and content.
yeah,
use map,
Mhm.
so you can point at that, and see zoning rewrites.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I would appreciate it if we need a special meeting or anything like that. I'm gung ho about this idea. I think it's important that you will let me know how you feel about it and how it kind of ties into codes and things of that nature. I don't want to get into a, a bad situation, but I think we could make some money that way with the way things are here now.
If this is all right, maybe talk with Counselor Angelini a little bit, especially during the week, that you're in office. And that, I find that usually more productive, easier than using the open meetings.
Okay, so sorry, but I just wanted to get that off my chest.
No, I think that's important, and then
Okay,
we're able to work on something and bring back to the whole.
do you need me to call a motion? Okay,
And
But I
also,
want to discuss also.
I would suggest talking to council to see what is legal.
yeah.
And Jim Bowling.
I would have that.
we-
That's what I meant, I meant our lawyer council.
Yeah, okay, that's like, yeah.
Sorry, you're right, not town council, the lawyer.
Instead of I.
We have had that conversation before, and so Jim will be a good resource, because there was something funny where we weren't able to word it specifically to de-incentivize empty buildings. But you also couldn't incentivize the rentals due to it being the personal property. It was kind of a weird space. We might be able to pull some meetings, be a long time frame, but probably 2017 to 2019 would be your time frame. Yeah, but we have discussed that.
Okay.
Great.
Well, Molly, thanks for this information that Lumpkins closed. I was not aware. Was this within the last 2 months?
One day we woke up and the chicken was gone.
I mean,
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, charging a vacancy tax would be a very slippery slope, because it's very difficult to define when a storefront or a business or property is vacant. For instance, if it opens once a month and someone just stands there and, performs business, is that vacancy? No, it's difficult to define. Yeah. But I think real estate tax might be the best option, because if you tax a business, that's an additional cost. And, if someone is able to afford that tax, they just keep their business for a storage unit or whatever else they use it for. That's not really activity generating. But otherwise, that could be one lever that town council could consider, and we could write that into the comp plan. Yeah.
So just because it gives us kind of license to move forward with that and find out exactly what we can do. I don't think that we are without options in this area. But I hear you that taxing them for having an empty storefront can be awkward, but the taxing and whatever else we come up with, I just think it would be worth talking to other municipalities or looking it up ourselves,
There's an interesting tool I'll just mention that Singapore uses in their planning ordinance. They really have this term called activity generating spaces. So activity generating space is what you can see from the sidewalk, and it's mainly a glass storefront that you can see displays, people can go into, so on and so forth. It adds vibrancy to the street. I think an ordinance could be written about promoting activity generating spaces, which is more of a positive aspect rather than looking at the negative. So yeah. So I think going back to what Mr. Peck said, I think the study from 2017, 2019 that town council did, I think that'd be a good reference and also talking to Mr. Bowling. Yeah. So Javier, if you could just help me share my screen, allow me to share my screen. I'll also mention to Molly about what maybe the most important asset was that I heard during that meeting. I'll just show it on my screen. Javier, you can hear me?
Yes. I think
Okay,
you should be able to share now.
okay, thanks so much. Okay, so in the text, second paragraph, I really love the roosters, and I think it was one of the town councilors that attended basically mentioned the small town character are the crows, the chickens, and the roosters. So I thought a lot of people also echoed that idea and supported it. So I'm also kind of sad to hear that Lumpkins took away their rooster. So yeah, that's just an idea of one thing that really, captures this small town character. Yeah.
Well, I have
Any other thoughts?
I did see that you had cows on there too. That's my favorite when I hear cows mooing in the middle of town. That's my.
Yeah.
I think, I was questioning the first paragraph just because I don't know if you wanted this to be a recap of this particular workshop, because I don't know if we did that in any other sections in the comp plan. Because I think other sections kind of incorporated information that you've gotten from multiple sources, the survey and the workshops. So I was wondering if you intend for it to be mostly about this one workshop, or if maybe there was something from the survey or other workshops that might also speak to retaining character.
Well, I think each one of our workshops and focus groups kind of started off with an idea, and we titled it after that idea, basically off of the Matrix idea, if you remember. But then we kind of evolved from that idea during the discussion. So we started with retaining character, and during this discussion, we actually ended with retaining lifestyle and historic downtown aesthetic. This last sentence. But then in the subsequent discussion, when we were talking about, what we talked about the previous week, we actually went back to this idea of small town character. So that's basically where we're at right now for this title of this section, to my understanding. Yeah, small town character, retaining small town character. Yeah.
Planning commission requested that we somehow incorporate these workshops so that they're lost. In some respects, after they occurred, most of them occurred in the fall. You might see some invitations here and there, into like early beginning of the new year. So this was a format right here that might have been able in the comp plan to include. We did about half a dozen of them. Something similar to this, include that into the final comp plan, and then this aspect of outreach isn't lost. It's much more easier, the survey just include the boilerplate statistics. We did an early survey also in this process. But am I hearing some hesitance about this format? In regards to,
I don't remember, did we say we were going to? I know we talked about writing something up about each of the workshops.
Mhm.
So that's what we're doing here. That's what this is.
Yeah, I think it's important to recap each workshop and then show the attendees that their voices were heard, and it wasn't just a waste of time and we disregarded what they said. So this is kind of that recapping of what the major ideas that were discussed. And some of these ideas might not be picked up in the comp plan. We might not talk about certain ideas, but I think it's important that we capture what was discussed in a general sense, at least. Yeah.
So how are these workshops and the materials that came from them and the ideas, how is that all being cataloged? Is that part of the comp plan kind of process paperwork there?
So, in the, engagement section, then there's, each event, will be recapped somewhat in this fashion. And then we can show one or two example, scribe boards that we took pictures of from the event. So, I'll just pull up, one scribe board, for instance, from this event. Let me see here. One moment, please. Okay. Workshops.
Talking about where I put all kinds of stickies up, or where it should be walkable.
Exactly. So that's another example. Then we have the great one that Lisa did with the two circles overlapping. Yeah, for walkability, I believe it was. Yeah. So this is the example of what was discussed at this event. So we talked about community, we talked about lifestyle, we talked about aesthetic. So the historic downtown aesthetic, that's included moral character, diversity, the assets, river, green spaces, trails, the economic and proximity and walkability, social hub of the rural area, economic diversity. I think economic here mentioned twice, so on and so forth. So I had to compare this with my handwritten notes and just kind of wrote up the paragraphs from there. Yeah.
So what were they talking about when they discussed the economic? Were they saying they wanted to boost that, or what was that about?
Well, basically, starting off with like businesses, someone mentioned that the diversity of business owners was really important, and also the diversity of residents. So that's something I definitely wrote in there. But I think also with that, and they mentioned the economic diversity, along with race and so on and so forth, of course. But the economic diversity, I also wrote in together with this social hub. So I wrote, I think it is an economic and social hub in the rural region. So basically, Scottsville is really a magnet for people in the region. Yeah. So that's how I phrased this. Yeah. Then we talked about negative aspects, and the property stewards, the taxes, the age of buildings. We also talked about maintenance and the cost of maintenance for historic structures. Then towards the end, I mentioned this resistance to change. The balancing act is how it's phrased in a nice way. Yeah, the strategy of building across the river and the relationship with the railroad. Yeah, grants for public spaces and the arts, that's mentioned in the next to last paragraph. And then also basically getting better information out, engagement with the community. I think that's mentioned also. Yeah. Yeah. And then this idea of lifestyle, that's also mentioned. Yeah. So on and so forth. Yeah. So this is one example. I'll just pull up another example from our, let's see, walkability, I believe it is, workshop. Let's see. Works. Oh, I think the photo of that is in my somewhere else on my computer, but yeah, we've got photographs of all the different scribe boards. Yeah.
I remember being there, and I also remember you letting us know about it and showing us
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the format that I would propose. I of course could make it a little bit shorter, but I do think it's important to kind of show the diversity of ideas. That we're just not writing about one stream of coherency. We're kind of collecting all these diverse ideas and kind of sifting them and putting forward the best ideas that the planning commission and town council think are important. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great. I think you did a really good job of summarizing what was a difficult meeting in that, you know, we all struggled with what does this mean and what is our character? What is the small town we're looking to maintain? I don't know how many pages I remember we talked, I think 2 months ago about, or 3 months ago, maybe about the number of pages. Can you recap again how long it'll be, do you think?
I think we talked about three paragraphs for each event. It's challenging to record all the
Well,
the aspects. Yeah.
of describing it all. Well, I think this is great for now. Maybe we might need to pare it down a little bit, but.
Okay. So Javier, I'll share the notes of our other discussions with you, and then we can tackle this together. And I'll next be in town in Scottsville on Tuesday the 20th evening. So that last discussion that I mentioned about having talk with two planning commissioners, I think could happen that night if anyone's available to come to town council chambers. Yeah.
Which specifically would you like to talk about?
So my goal is to have all of these 8 workshops and we had other events, so 8 events all summarized in that way. I'll send it out to you by maybe the 16th or so, and then you guys can have a couple days. Whoever joins the discussion can have a couple days to read through, and then we can sit and actually talk about events and any direct feedback about the write-up, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's move that over to email to see who, well, unless somebody would be willing to volunteer for August 20th. We need to.
It's a Tuesday.
Lincoln, yeah.
Okay, so Molly, you're volunteering?
I'm going to pay attention to.
Okay.
He'll send out an email by August 16th and then we can sit with him on August 20th, and I'm happy to do it if no one else wants to volunteer. All right,
I'm
so,
there.
I could,
Okay.
okay, all right, so Molly and Josh. Send it to all of us.
Yep.
that's August 20th.
Okay.
August 20th at what time? Oh, the town council meeting?
It's a Tuesday, so we can actually. do more.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think if y'all are able to make it, maybe 6:30 would be ideal for me.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Bye.
work. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Morning.
Sure.
No,
I gotta run, but see you in about 2 weeks, everyone, or partial crew. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye. All right, awesome. Well, welcome, Counselor Driscoll. Can we switch gears now to report on relevant actions by town council? Are you here in a good place?
I can't remember what we talked
Oh.
about. I just want to say 2 things. First of all, number 1 was I'm thankful to be back. I actually wasn't at the last one. I was in Turkey for the last. But I do. Turkey was wonderful. It was. I apologize. I've been a little bit traveling, but the one significant thing was this gentleman joined the planning commission. And that vote took place while I was away, I'm so thankful that you are here. I'm so, whenever I think of you, I'm always proud of you from years ago as a soccer player, and then years later, he said, Briscoe, I'm gonna get on town council, he did.
Yeah,
So you just served the town, so thank you for all that you did.
absolutely. As long as I, have the ability to, I'll serve where I can.
Well, we hope that's for many years to come. But just thank you for coming back. You were here for what, how many years were you on the plan?
6 years on planning commission and 1 year as chair.
And so the most relevant thing I recall was, I apologize, I was actually. I don't know.
Do you have
Do you remember?
anything to share?
Do you remember?
Yeah, so, we had a first appointment of Josh Becker, planning commission. The other item is that we had a discussion of Stan. Stan had, presented himself during the work session to discuss their lease. And then during the regular session, presented himself also. The discussion was to have a meeting following. It's either the same week or the following week, but soon after that, meeting to discuss the lease conditions. And then we left that meeting with an update for Stan, which hasn't been reported out yet to full council, but Stan, there'll be a draft lease presented to town council next week.
Do you all know the history of that? That's reminding me of the history of that lease issue.
Well, it's not super.
That's fine. If you don't need to know, it's fine. Okay.
We're adhering to new
We are talking about,
processes that weren't previously, so it has to go through a more thorough process.
Yeah, just look more onto it if you want to know that. I do recall.
I guess, well, this is a word that's being used.
And then,
Appreciate your- I
and then,
mean,
we discussed the E911 sign ordinance. We didn't leave with an action. I think there was some discussion about implementation and also about the ordinance language itself. So I'm assuming that'll be, we'll discuss it again this month with town council. Short and sweet, it's similar to what you guys talked about. There's a big discussion about incentives first. Carrot versus stick, I think was the biggest here. So I think council and staff will still be work that out to get that process continued. And then the last item was just for discussion. Our town truck's pretty old, so I got some staff work to check in on issues and future cast and think about future projects to upgrade our fleet. Other than that, I think those were all the things that action last month.
All right, so nothing directly related to planning.
Can I ask, so I noticed on one of the other meeting minutes that we had like upcoming town events were listed. Does anybody know when the Harvest Festival is planned? I think that's for next month.
I do not know. I'll check in with the usual chamber.
I think Meredith is planning that.
She's doing, yeah, she's doing something for Founder's Day or,
That's what
yeah, but
She had a Founder's Day festival. Is that
Community Day? Yeah, I don't like that.
It's the same, I think we're using different words for the same.
Yeah, we are, because it's never been the same word twice, I don't think.
I mean, honestly, this year, when I first moved here, the 18th, it was like Heritage Festival or.
There were a lot of
that,
festivals.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then after COVID, it went away. I think this will be the first year.
She is working on it, that's correct.
So it's a celebration of when we became. And it's never been fully realized, but it was a big event before COVID, like you said,
Yeah.
so. I hope good things. She had a lot to say about, she was excited about the things they were putting together, so hopefully, that's still going on.
Yeah, I just find it strange
Yeah.
that we do these big things and then like, even like a month out, there's nobody
Yeah.
knows when it is or what the
Well,
dates are.
it's also, I mean, it might be a good precedence to maybe ask, does anybody know about events going on in the town or what events are going on? I'm gonna be, once I get into the website work, I'm going to be putting together a very, very basic informal newsletter that will say, these are the things that are coming up. You know, obviously in the winter time, it's gonna be, you know, happy holidays. I mean, we do a lot at Christmas time, but after that, it's, you know, nothing until April, I think. So, anyway, I will be recording out as much as I can, but it might be good to, you know, just check in on that. Is that not planning commission? I know, I made it part of the minutes because it was part of the meeting. And I thought it was really helpful.
Yeah, it is, I was really,
There is one other thing, Chair, I will mention, or maybe you guys already talked about this. So this is a reminder, we have 2 mayor candidates that are running. And do we have any, are they all 3 open spots or 2 open spots?
One, only Alex Bessa is on the ballot, so we have 2 openings on 3, on an election year, we have 3 council seats up for. Election.
And that's something we would want to, again, so there's 2 open spots for council ballot.
Who has shown any interest, or has there been any interest expressed?
Alex Bessa put his name on the ballot.
No, I get that,
And
but
then
who do we need to write in?
Who are
Well,
the
that's-
others?
That, yeah, let's not try not to
That gets into the
do
public.
electioneering and
when is the election?
So it would be the same day in November. I mentioned it only to say, so, and maybe to getting it out in the town's an unusual circumstance, so there were 2, I've never had 2 before at the same time, and it just means
Yeah.
that it would need to be known that people could run.
Yes. And I think that this is relevant to planning commission because obviously town council has, you know, the body of town council is directly related to the work that we do, and we have to make sure they're fully staffed. So can we post something on social media about how there's going to be an election in November and
Yeah.
we have these people who have stated, have applied with the county for official candidacy and therefore we'll still have 2 openings and people will need to consider running and writing.
I think, I'll check the precise language of it, but I think I can just use voter information.
Yeah, just an informative post to let people know that basically we're gonna need members of the community to start thinking about whether they want to be on town council next year and organizing a writing committee.
Is there's. Okay. Oh, I was just gonna ask, is there, what happens if, can I ask what happens if positions aren't filled?
I mean, I think that's relevant to us, yeah. What will happen if in January, yeah,
Typically, when there's an opening, the council would appoint people, and we would certainly, in the circumstance, have to talk to the town attorney, and see what he says. It's likely, again, there's typically almost always, even if you take the main candidates out of like people who run, there's usually a few side candidates, so it's almost certain that there'll be, like, even if, in other words, I would be surprised if those slots didn't get filled, because it's, but the question is, do people really want to run for those spots, is like what I would say.
Okay, just curious, thank you. Okay.
So, I mean, it would probably be good for town council if people from other committees might look into town council spots.
Yeah, I think it's, you go back to the public, I think it's just so public out there, be aware, there's openings.
nothing else on the agenda? Does anyone have any other items that we should be talking about?
I was just gonna mention one thing, and maybe Josh, this may be something that might be worth us talking about, maybe in another planning commission area. This goes back to you as a town councilor. I was thinking about this on the way today. The issue when you did the research about connection between the two streets of uptown and downtown.
I got that email right here.
The reason I think it's a good idea is it would be a relevant conversation, one of the many topics that we would be wise to talk about, and I think it even comes back to Lincoln's work, would be about how do we connect uptown and downtown, and I think the conversation, maybe the unique conversation you and I had one time, and, but maybe that could be, we could do that next month or something, or to have a conversation about it, if you're interested, because I think the work, the study that was done, it'd be relevant to bring that forward again.
I'll take like 30 seconds. Cause as we were talking about, sidewalk improvements and all, I pulled up my email from, this is from Aunt Amy. This is November 30th, 2017. Timmons Group gave us a cost estimate. Projected cost for 2018 was $2,018,800. And that was for starting off from Goats Maytag currently. And this did include for getting right of way easements, and the legal fees and that kind of thing. Which would include like the side of the bank going, or the banks going all the way up, and then cutting across at the Dollar General. Now, granted, that was over 6 years ago. So I think any creative plan you have to go with a connection from uptown to downtown will be much more, doing an ADA compliant is going to be far too expensive due to inflation now.
But, and I mentioned it only to say that it's a starting place to say, this is something the town actually priced out one time. This answers, people bring this up occasionally and say, okay, we looked at this price, maybe it's 3 million now, whatever it is. But I just mentioned again, I suggest maybe we start there and have a conversation about how do we do that.
Yeah.
And other connections, because they relate to stuff that we've already talked about in the comp plan, and this is something that probably some people didn't know that we've already, that costs some money to do that research.
It did, yeah. This was probably my, unfortunately, most expensive and least productive venture for the town.
But this was about doing a lot of sidewalk,
It, yeah.
so. I mean, does it really have to be like that?
No,
So that's where Dan comes in, is his alternative to that afterwards was finding, like doing nature trails to
Yeah.
get you there. The only argument I had of like needing a combination of either both or just one is that we have the elderly center where you still have people walking up and down on 20 and
That was very dangerous.
yeah,
Mm.
so, and like people with like the stroller, but the walker, that's the
Walker,
word, yeah.
I think we just need one of those, you can get up in a little seat, and it takes you through the air.
That's what I was thinking.
That'd be
Guys
awesome,
on
yeah.
the.
Maybe,
Do that.
maybe staff could reach out to Busch Gardens and see how much they're. Yeah.
Okay,
They're
so
around.
it's probably a lot. I'm just saying that
But that's.
there are a lot of things outside of the box. I don't know, I know Mr. Fritzko owns a lot of property in between downtown and uptown. Maybe he has some opinions.
well, I don't know, but yes, thank you. But my point only coming back to you, Josh, was to say, often there are projects where somebody championed 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, that if we understand that as a starting point, you happen to be such the champion.
Yeah.
This was a project Josh was really interested in. That's a great starting point for us to say, okay, we price this out, what else could we do? Is there other ways we could do it? And you and I talked about some things, but there's also a lot of other creative people out here who can think about what we can do. The connections are certainly something we want to consider. At any rate, my suggestion is let's talk about that next time a little bit.
For those at Camera World, if you want to donate $3 million to the town, I will personally engage your partner.
You can have a
Still
big
love it.
party at the very.
I think we should get together as a commission
I'll go this far.
It's hard.
I will go this far. Where this comes from was, this is probably about 4 or 5 years. Well, with this time period. I can give you 2 routes that. Just from the overtime, they would take some other right away a little bit, but let's do that at some point in the future, because what we need to do is to figure out how to do it. And there are ways to do it that are not as expensive. And one of the funny, I'll just say this, Joe, so it was one of the, probably, you have to say that's one of the funniest comments I've ever said to you, right? So Josh and I were having a private meeting, and I told Josh about 10 reasons why I thought it was a bad idea to use the money for this project. But then I said, I think we need to do it. You just go, let me get out of your way, let the project prove that it's undoable, right? And so, so I said, what's gonna happen is let the political thing figure it out. I said, I'm not gonna get in the way. Most of the time, the red tape in these projects is so complicated, it stops you. So in the end, we found out.
It's just cost prohibitive.
So
you know.
I just said, I support you, even though I think it's gonna turn out to be a dead end. Turned out to be a dead end, but we found it was a dead end.
Well, I mean, yes, it was, we didn't get the sidewalks, but we did get Tiger Fuel to put that walking path. So that's part of it. And that
Absolutely,
wouldn't have happened
absolutely.
if we hadn't had all these discussions about how we need to get people
Sure.
from downtown.
Sure.
So we still have a significant way to go to build the rest of the sidewalks, but
Yeah.
maybe it is a little bit out of time.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so abstract. I love this idea about corner and figuring out the route. Because even if it starts as a path, we can, prioritize and do small projects or, whatever else happens. So let's. We do a lot of stuff. We don't do much work.
What other, field trip ideas do we have that we might be able to do at the same time? What other intersections do we want to look at?
I want to go up to, the development, I can't remember the name.
First Street,
Leslie.
West Street,
No.
East Village.
Yes, Village, that's it. Yeah. I think that would, I don't know where they are in that project. I don't, they've let us know what they're gonna do. But
Well, that's an
I
excellent idea.
don't know whether that is something that they're going to revisit with us.
Well,
Even
we
if it's not, I would still like to see
Yeah.
where the proposed layout is currently, if we
Yeah.
can move forward with it, what does that look like?
Yeah,
And if it could be something different, what does that look like?
yeah, well, and it is definitely, I think it's worth looking at the land because they've been talking about some of it being kind of hard to navigate. And what does that mean for what they have left to increase density? If that's what they're looking to do.
Could over email I connect you, take a tour with one of them, with one of the members, or they've offered that before?
They have, yeah,
I think
they
it'd
did
be
to
more
us
easy.
too.
Yeah, most of us, they extend it to you guys.
Yeah, so,
Just shared 2 relevant emails. One was the entire sidewalk project, and then
Thank
the
you.
other is a follow-up email. Asking about moving forward with, it's part of the budgeting, but it also goes into detail about planning commission, has also asked about valuation of alternative routes, staff inquired, Simmons about additional fees. Recommendation was to start with an initial path, but during site visit review other connected routes as well. His thought is that alternative would not score well. So we spent $4,500 for the evaluation of the whole project. And then plan was to get the giant federal grant to cover them.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's all in plan.
Had you identified a grant that might cover that?
We did,
Or
and
part of that?
we had applied to it as well, and did not receive it.
Okay.
I'll take a look, because that was just with PT searching Kevin's group, so I'll have to go through its years of.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
It might take me a little while to.
We're gonna put you to work the minute you get here.
Hey,
We're like, welcome, welcome here.
yep.
Well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate you sending those
Yeah.
emails. I'm really curious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, do we have interest in a field trip?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
please.
would say so.
2 members.
Yes, unless, and then otherwise it has to be a full.
I brought it up.
I mean, we can be a meeting out, but there's not interest.
Meetings are not legally required now to be recorded, right?
They never were.
They never
It just-
were.
But it has to be public, what do you
Yeah.
think, it has to be public.
And then I first want to check it for council, if there's my FOIA details.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about a moving location on it. So I can
Oh.
avoid it.
That could be, and we couldn't do it over like joining remotely either. Yeah, so it would have to be like pairs.
That's why I suggested, especially if you're thinking specific site, maybe just connecting you with the developer. One or two of you, or attend a meet, and just get a feeling for that one.
Who wants to go with me? You do? Okay. And you
I'll
do
join you
too?
next time.
Okay.
I will send an email, I have to see what I have the last couple of weeks, but a couple of you, like maybe I've Shannon or Molly, or you have, I've showed you before, a couple of thoughts of what a route would look. I mean, this is just to say what I already know, so it's pretty interested to see what that ideas we already have.
Yeah. That would be great.
As they said, what is it, the movie Argo, he said this is the best bad idea.
Perfect. Yes. Good dream.
Are you, in the meantime, would you look into the implications of having a walking meeting about town?
Yeah, but I asked them to defer to the council on this.
Right.
We'll ask council, so we'll put it on the agenda to ask council, because Mr. Rowland will be here, right? Next, let's ask Mr. Rowland and council.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah, absolutely. And then I think I'm including, discussion on town downtown, as an agenda item for next week, so sure.
The other thing is, if they approve a walking meeting, can you see if they'll approve a round meeting?
You're taking minutes, I'm not. I'm not ready.
In my old
Oh,
age,
yes,
I have
John.
not ran in a lot.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we'll just stick to it.
Well, we can see how we get.
Great, I moved to adjourn the meeting.
So we're
All in favor?
Second,
Yeah.
All right. All right, all in favor?
Okay, thank you.
My
This
favorite
was
part.
one of our
is
quickest meetings
the quick-
ever.
Shannon's meeting was really efficient.
I saw that in the minutes and I was like,
That was so fast. We got the